Hey guys, and welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to talk about some commonly used things in UiPath, for example, variables. We're going to talk about message box, how to log to the output window, how to open and read a text file, and how loops are working in UiPath. This might be a longer video than usual, but I'm going to try to go through it quite fast. And you've already seen me use a message box, so we'll start off with that. So we'll start a new process. We'll call it commonly used stuff, right? Just like that. And then we'll press create from here. Now, as I said, we're going to talk about a couple of things. So let's start talking about the message box. So first thing I want to do is I want to drop down a sequence down here. So I have a sequence, right? And then I'm going to drag and drop a message box. So we have a message box here. And basically, a message box is pretty simple. It kind of just prompts you to do, or it says something, right? Like you click this window or whatever. And let's just watch it. So I'm gonna say hello from message box, like so. And then we're going to run this file. Hello from message box. Pretty straightforward, right? Now, as I said, that's fairly straightforward. Now, if we look at the message box, we can see that. So if I press message box and then I press properties down on the left side, or if you have it up here, you can just press properties and you will get the properties. You can see a couple of options that you have or a couple of properties that you have on this message box. One is automatically close after. You can have this. And another thing is this button, which is quite exciting, right? So you can also add buttons to your message box. For example, if I press down here, you see you have OK, OK cancel, yes, no cancel, yes, no. Let's just do yes, no cancel. And what this will do, it will actually give you three buttons, yes, no, and cancel on the message box, right? And then we also have the text where we can, put in stuff in here. So we can either write it here or we can write it from here, right? And then we can just press play from now, just so that you guys see the output and the difference between this message box and the previous one. So here you go. Hello from message box. Yes, no, cancel. You can press yes. Another cool thing we can do is we can actually save that button click to do stuff. Let's say we have an if else. If you press yes, then do this, else press that. But I'm just going to create another message box here for you guys to see this. And then we're going to write you clicked, and then we're going to go out here and we're going to go plus, and then you see I have something here called chosen button. And this is a variable, and we'll talk about more about variables a bit later, but this variable comes from this, right? So whatever you press there, yes, no, or cancel, will get into this one. So if I go like this, and now I go run the file one more time, you see, hello from message box. Let's press no, and then you clicked no. So basically, we can capture whatever the user clicked, and we can use that input to do something else. Now, another thing we can do before we leave this section is we can also write information or logs to the output window, right? So down here on the left side, we have this thing called output, and this kind of logs stuff as you go. And if you're a programmer, well, you use log quite often to, to understand where you are in a process or in a method, for example, what happened and what did not happen, etc. So what we can do is we can go up here and we can type write line. And now you have something called write line. And we can just press this, put it down here. And then we can do stuff here. We can do, for example, we can do the same thing. Basically, I just want to show what button was clicked, but I want it in the output. So you clicked, and then we'll do plus, and then you see we have chosen button and chosen button. Basically, we have two because this passes it down here, right? So I can just press this, and now if I press run, I can see the output is empty, right? There's nothing in the output currently. But now that I have this write line, I can actually output it to the window. And also, we can also go and press run file. So you see hello from message box. Yes, you clicked yes. And if I go back now and open my output, you see you clicked yes. So basically, if I want to output stuff to the output window, then I will use this thing called write line. Now you might not use them that often in a live bot. You might, but usually what I do is if I have a lot of sequences, I use a write line just to make sure that okay, that's where I am. Or if I have a very big bot that has a lot of sequences or steps to it, it can be quite hard to follow the workflow or the process. Where are we currently? Then you can use write lines to just make it a bit easier for you to understand where you are in the process currently. So yeah, that's that. That's for the message box and the write line. Now, another commonly thing that you might do in UiPath is read a file, right? Let's say you have a text file, for example, you want to read the file. In later on in this course, I'm also going to show you how you can convert a PDF to a text file and read that file. But basically, what we want to do is we want to read a file. And in order for us to do that, we actually have to create a folder with a file to read inside of it. So I'm just going to go here. I'm going to go to desktop and I'm just going to, now here we go, we have desktop. I'm just going to create a new folder. So we'll do new folder here and I'll call it UiPath text or something like that. And in this file, I'll just create a new text file. So we'll go text document. Here we go. Potato. There we go. And then what we want to do here is we can open it and just add some text to it. This is a file that's called potato, something like that. Sure, fine, amazing. And now we can save that and we have that content here. So what we want to do now is we want to read this file. And what I need to do is I need to have this path over here, right? So I have the path to the actual file. So I'm going to copy this path over here. So copy, 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 like so. And then I'm going back to UiPath. Now I can remove these things because I'm not going to use them. What I want to do is I want to have this read file. So if you just go to your activity list and type read file, you have this thing called read text file. We're going to drop it down here. And now we have a read text file thingamajiggy. So for the first thing we need to do is we need to find the file. And we can either put it in here, the thing I copied, or we can press here, browse for file. And again, I'm going to use this. I'll go to desktop. I'll go UiPath text, open, and that's my file. Boom. Now I have my file here. All fine and dandy. What I want to do is I can press this and we can see we have an error, right? Absolute paths are not recommended. Use a relative path that is not included in a drive letter or root letter or folder. Now this error, we can still go on with this, but yeah, it's never recommended to have a file path like this because the reason is now this robot is working on my machine, right? And this file exists exactly on this path on my machine. But let's say I want to publish this, right? So I want to send this to somebody else. Well, then this is not going to work because this file, it does not exist on that person's machine or computer, for example. But for this demo, it works fine, right? And now down here, we also have, let me see, we have some things, right? What we want to do is we want to read the file and then we want to output the content of this file to something, right? So we're just going to press here, config file content output to, and down here, I'm just going to press one thingamajiggy and then I'm going to do, we can just do message box again. So we have a message box, and what do we want here? What do we want to type? Well, we want this config file content, like so, and we can just try it out and see if this actually works. There you go. So there you see, This is a file called potato. So basically what I did is I have two activities. The first one is read a text file. So it asks you for a file and then it will read the content of the text file. Then what it does is that after it read the content, it will actually save the content to a variable. And that's what you get here, output to. So this is a variable name. Now, I haven't talked about variables yet, but I will very shortly, and then you will understand what it is. But basically, you can see a new variable was created, config file content of the type string, and then in the scope of this sequence, and now I have this here. So basically, that's how you read a file, right? And this is a common thing that you're doing in UiPath, reading different kinds of files. So it could be good for you to understand how to read a text file, for example. Now, the second thing I want to talk about, or the third, or whatever number we're on right now, is loops, right? Because another commonly thing, or another commonly used thing in UiPath are you looping through stuff. Let's say you have a list of, I don't know, products, and maybe for each product you want to do something, and this is actually called a for each loop. There are different kind of loops, and if you don't know what a loop is, then I guess that you're not a programmer. But basically, in programming, we have different kinds of loops. And the looping is like doing repeated work over and over again, depending on how many times you actually want to do that. And in programming and in UiPath, we have different kind of loops that you can do, that you can use that kind of does the same thing, but like they start out differently. What we are going to talk about right now is I'm not going to teach you guys about loops. If you're interested in what a loop is in programming or in UiPath, you can actually Google that. But I think the majority of you guys, if you've gotten so far, you understand what a loop is. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to delete this one. Then in my activity folder, I'm going to do for each, right? So we have something called for each. And if you go down to this workflow, you have this thing called for each here. So you'll take this for each, and for each usually pairs super well with some kind of list, right? You need some kind of list to actually, iterate through, right? So currently I do not have a list. So what I can do is I can actually go in here and I can create my own list of things, right? So let's just, and what you want to do is you want to start out with this squiggly brackets or whatever you call them in English. I call them chicken lips or måsvingar, whatever these thingy-majiggies, right? Squiggly lines. No, it's not squiggly lines. I don't know. Curly brackets. I don't know. Who cares? Basically, you're going to start off with these chicken wings, right? And now you're going to create some kind of list of stuff. So let's do a list of 1 to 10, right? So 1, comma, 2, comma, 3, comma, 4, comma, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, right? So that's the first thing we want to do. We want to create a list. Then what we also need to do, now UiPath is pretty smart. It understands that these are ints, right? There are different data types. This could also be a string. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that the argument type matches whatever you have in your list. And there are a couple of things you have from the get-go. You have bool, which is true or false. You have int 32, which is an integer, right? A number. And then you have object, or you have string, excuse me. String is some kind of text. It could be one as a text, right? So this is a string. One, that is a string, right? A string is always encoded by quotation marks like that. So that's a string, right? And then you have an object, which is kind of the basic thing that you have. And then you have something called system.data.table data, which is kind of an Excel where you have rows and columns. And then you have array of t. An array of t is kind of a list of types. You have different kinds of types here. But then if you're looking for something that does not exist here, let's say you want to use a decimal, right? So you want to do 1.25, then you can always browse for types here. And then, let's just search for decimal, for example. So there you go. You can press that. You can use that. So you're not limited to what is here. You can also make it more flexible by browsing for different types, right? So now what we want to do is basically for each number in this list, I just want to display a message box that counts the current number so that you guys see how it actually works. So what I will do here is I will do a message box. We can actually do a sequence first. So we'll do because it's kind of bad that you don't have a sequence here, because usually what you want to do when you have a for each loop is you kind of want to do a sequence of things. So let's start with just putting a sequence here. Boom. So now we have a sequence, and then we'll do message box like so. Boom. And in this message box, what I will do is I will type the current number you're on is, and then we'll do like commas or I don't even know English anymore, it feels like. And then we'll do plus, and then we'll do index, right? So uh, I think this is called index, or is it called current number? I'm not sure. This could be current number. Let's check. So we're going to press here, and we see, yeah, item name, current number. So the current number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yada yada, right? So the variable name is current number. So I'm going to press current number here. Boom. And then I'll also give this message box a button, a yes or no. So I'll just do buttons, yes, no, sure, whatever. Boom. Uh, Oh, and then we have another problem here. You see I have an error. It says argument. Option strict is on disallow, blah, blah, blah. So basically what it says is you cannot add a string with a number, because this is not how math works. You cannot do 1 plus heart, for example. This is not math. And a plus is a mathematical operator. You can add two messages to each other, but the problem is these this is one data type, this is integer, and this is another data type, which is string, and you cannot add a string and an integer. So what we want to do is we want to go to this current number and then press dot to string. And what it will do, it will actually convert this number to text, right? So now this will work. So let's try it out. We'll do run file. So we have the current number you're on is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yada yada. And then after 10, we finish it. So that's basically a for each loop. A for each loop will iterate through every element you have in a list like this. And I have 10 of them, so it went through and did it 10 times, from 1 to 10. And now the last thing I'm going to go through is how to send an email. So sending an email is also one of the most commonly used things in UiPath or in automation or RPA, because usually what you do is when your bot is finished or started with a sequence, you send a mail to whatever, to your boss or to yourself, that the bot started working, or the bot just finished. This is the output of the finished work. So I'm going to show you guys how you can send an email real fast. So what we'll do is we'll go here, we'll write send email, right? Or send mail. Now we can do email because that's how you actually write it. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of things that you can actually do. You can do with Gmail, you can do with, yeah, there's a lot of ways to send emails. You guys know you have a Yahoo, you have a Hotmail, you have a Outlook, whatever. I'm going to use Outlook, and here I see I have um, an activity called Send Mail by Outlook. Now, I already have this package installed, but keep in mind when you drag and drop this here, it will ask you to install a couple of things, right? One moment, I think there's actually a better one, a better activity than this one. I'm going to delete this one, and we'll just do email here. So we're gonna go down here, send email. I think this is the one. There we go. I like this activity a bit better because you have everything in the activity, right? So this activity is called send email. And again, I already have this package installed. So as you can see here, if I go here, you see that my dependencies has UiPath.Microsoft Office 365 installed. If you don't have it, when you drag and drop that activity, it will ask you to install it, and then you just press yes and do a couple of things, and it will do that, right? All right, so let's actually send an email. And I'm going to send an email to myself. So the first thing we need to do is, well, we can do these things first. So who do we want to send the email to? Well, I want to send it to robin.camo at oneagency.se, right? What's the subject of the mail? The subject of the mail is this is a mail from a bot, right? And what do you want to put into the body? Like, what's the actual message? Hello, man. I am a bot. I am a bot. And this is working. I have very bad creativity when it comes to these kind of things, right? And we can also add attachments if we want to do that. Now, before this actually works, I have to actually set this up so it can work because somebody has to send the actual email. And what I'll do is I'm creating a connection, right? So I need to press this wheel over here, and I'll do add a new connection. When you press that button, you're going to get this window over here. So you'll do Office 365 default, and you press connect, and then it will ask you to sign in. And I'm just going to I'm going to use let's use this mail. I'm going to use no I'm going to use this one because I don't want to send myself an email. So I'll use this mail, and then I will accept. Boom. Now it was created. You may now close and return. So now this should work. And we can also do a message box afterwards just to say that the job is done. Message box. And we'll do the email was sent, something like that, right? And now we can actually run the file. So we'll do run file. The email was sent. Now to verify that the email actually was sent, because I need to go to my mail here, so robin.camo at oneagency.se. One moment, and I will open this up. There we go. Now, so I didn't get a mail on my one agency mail, so I actually put in my private mail, and as you can see, it worked. I don't know if you can see this, but yeah, that's really hard to see. But yeah, so I got a mail. So it says this is a mail from a bot. Hello, man, I am a bot, and this is working. So everything is working as intended, and that's how you send a mail, right? And that's kind of what I want to show you guys with these small demos, that UiPath, or it's not really that hard. It's like you choose an activity, you drag and drop it in, and you just look at it and do what it tells you to, or do what it tells you to do actually. So if you're unsure how to send an email, well, just grab one. Grab the send an email with Gmail, for example, put it in and just follow it. It will tell you what you will need to do. That's why I always say that the best way to learn this is by trial and error, right? Now you can look at a lot of tutorials, but the problem with tutorials is usually you get stuck in something we call tutorial hell. And the way you learn is not by following a tutorial. The way you learn is actually by creating flaws or mistakes or errors and actually fixing them. That's how you learn stuff. That's how you learn programming. That's how you learn RPA. If you just follow tutorials and just do this and do this and do this, you will actually never learn, because a tutorial is very contained, right, within its safe environment. So my biggest advice to you guys, like, if you find this interesting, if you think RPA is fun, then fuck around with it. Have fun. Test out different things. Drag an activity in your sequence and just follow it. And if you have any issues with that activity, just Google it or ask ChatGPT to help you with that. So yeah, that's kind of it for this video. I also want to talk about variables, but I think this video is already too long. Unfortunately, I'm trying to keep them short. So yeah, I'm going to end this video right now. If you did like this video, guys, please thumbs up, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe. We're reaching, we're going. Our goal is to get to 100,000 subscribers. Now it's not going very fast, but if you press subscribe, then it's going to go a bit faster. So yeah, thank you very much for this, guys. Have a good day. Bye.